We're going to begin dealing with graphics, and a good place to start is with some inspiration. There's a site called CSS Zen Garden, which I've used for many years to just take a look at how graphics work with style sheets. We've been working a little bit with CSS. Now we're going to look at how flexible it can be. On this site, what someone did several years ago is they set up a bunch of HTML. And what they said is anyone that would like to can apply their own styles to this HTML and change it significantly. So you see something here that says the road to enlightenment, littering a dark and dreary road, blah, blah, blah. If we go here to under the sea, this is the exact same HTML page. The only thing that's changing is the styles have been changed and the graphics have been changed. But if you see this, the road to enlightenment, it's right here, littering a dark and dreary road. It's the same text and the same HTML structure, but using the miracle of style sheets, they're changing the look of this completely. There's a lot that I like about this. I like kind of the weathered, look at the edge of the paper here. I like these little fish just kind of hanging out the edge. I like this footer that stays where it is. I really like this crazy monster here. So there's a lot of interesting things about this page that add visual interest. It also expands, so it looks like we're always under the sea here, which is kind of nice. Let's see if there's some other ones. Some other ones that are good. Here's Oceanscape. Same kind of thing. It also expands, and it allows us to see these different objects that are off of the box. And so that's what I want you to start thinking about with this design that you're about to do, is to get away from the idea of everything being stuck in a box. Boxes are kind of easy to fall into because the whole structure of CSS is called the box model. It uses all those boxes that we identify and add different stylings to. But there's tricks that you can use, and you'll be learning about them in some of the videos you'll be watching, to work things outside of the box and allow it to look a lot more natural. Look at a couple other ones here. Yeah, a little bit boxy. See if there's some other ones. Kyoto Forest. Here we go. A little bit of a box here, but it's nice that it's breaking outside of it a little bit with this umbrella here. They've got this nice background that goes on and look kind of nice. So what I'd like you to do with your designs is to get that look and feel, which is the kind of the essence of what your site is about. If your site's about BMX bicycle racing, then I would imagine there'd be a lot of mud and a lot of action photos and things like that that would get the feel of what that sport's about. If your site is about fly tying, then it would have a totally different feel. You'd have some really interesting pictures of feathers and things like that maybe in the background. Maybe it would look like a work table or something like that. My daughter is an illustrator, and I made this little website for her. And I wanted it to have kind of look and feel of her table where she works. So we got a little bit of paint going on down here. Got the brushes, some splots of paint. The thing I want you to notice about it is, even though she's working on a canvas, which she normally works on, it's on a table, and the table has these brushes that are just kind of hanging off the canvas. So I'm not feeling constrained to some kind of box. You know, it gives you the feeling of openness, like there's more to it than just a web page, like we're actually looking at her work table. And so if you go down through, there's a consistency in my navigation where everything is, but the content changes, and you'll be dealing with that kind of thing. Pricing news. Here we're actually pulling in a blog from another place, and you're going to learn how to do that as well. And a little contact page. So consistency in terms of navigation we're going to be looking for. The navigation doesn't have to be text rollovers. You can have some rollover images if you'd like, and you can learn about how to do that in the Linda videos. But basically, as we click on different things, there's going to be a content region that's changing. And the thing that's kind of extra special about this is you can see that depending on how much content is in there, I'm allowing her design to kind of float and match it. Like if I click on illustrations, it pushes way down, but my footer is always the same. So I've got this footer in here that's a different graphic that just keeps floating down. I've got these filler graphics for the background that are floating along there. So we get that feeling that it's consistent. Alright, moving on to the actual layout of this thing. I'll close this up. Here we are in Dreamweaver. I'm showing you this because I would like you to see, well, let me get, this is a different site, so I'm going to go to my files a minute. I'm going to look in here at the template. We're going to deal with templates later, but I need to show this to you right now so that you can see what you're going to be doing with your Photoshop document. What we will end up doing with our documents is cutting them into slices, and that's going to be something that you're going to be learning about. There's a big section in there on slicing your images up. So originally you're going to make a big home page in Photoshop. Then you're going to work on slicing, and usually you're going to have a header like I've got here, and I put that into its own div tag called header. Here it is right here. Once again, I've got my div container, which is containing everything, all this stuff. Okay. Then the next thing I'm going to have is my header, and that's a sliced image that's plopped into there, and there's a link to it right there. And then I close my header. And then I had something called middle. Now my middle is going to be this whole area here, but it's sliced into different images. This little chunk right here is an individual slice. Here's an individual slice, and that allows me to kind of break outside of the box there a little bit, and allows those paintbrushes to hang over the edge. And then inside of middle, I've got something called, well, that's called left mid, and then there's center mid. Now center mid has my navigation in it. And here's my div nav. So I'm putting boxes inside of boxes in order to build the structure of my site. The thing that you want to be concerned about now with laying out your slices, once you've got your background and everything the way you want it, is these where these different areas are going to be sliced out. Like for instance, this is an individual image right here. I can delete that off of there and it's gone. I'm going to put it back in. I've got another individual image here. I can delete that off, put it back in. So same thing with my header. Deleted, back. Okay. Sometimes you get this funny stuff that whenever you delete something and put it back in, it's actually not going to affect it. If I go to live view, it's not there. Okay. There are some funny things now that I've gone back, it's not there anymore. So sometimes if you do something like, whoa, why did that thing appear? Just hit the live view or view it in a browser and make sure everything looks good. Okay. And then down here, same thing. This is a sliced image. I took my original image and I cut a big chunk out of it, and this is going to always sit there at the bottom, and that's in my footer tag, div ID footer, and it just floats down along the bottom. Okay, everything's within the container. Slice it up. Now the thing about slicing that I want you to really pay attention to is you try to make your slices as simple as possible, meaning that you don't want to just randomly slice her out and slice out the R or something like that. Try to make one big long header slice, one big long footer slice. Now in the middle here you might have to do some funny stuff, like I've got a background repeating image, and I'll be able to find that for you if I go to Window and go to Assets. Okay, here's all the different assets for my page. Let me see if I can find, I think it's right in here somewhere. Yeah. Okay, so this shows you how I sliced it up. There's my header, there's the left side. That's actually a big chunk in the middle that I repeat. There's the right side, left bottom, there's that middle again, right bottom, and then there's the very bottom of the whole thing. Okay. Alrighty, there's my footer. Now, I also have this thing I called full background. That is what allows me to put it in the background of this middle tag. Where am I? Left middle. There's my middle. In the background of my middle tag, I've got this background, which is going to allow this thing to expand. As I add more content to it, it's going to expand, expand, expand. As long as I have content, that background is just going to keep on repeating. So that's a little trick that you should try to think of where you can have a background that's going to repeat using your CSS, so that it looks like your content always has something in the back. You don't want to have your site end and then have content go down below it. That wouldn't look so good. So there's some tricks that we use to do that. I'll get into it just a little bit here. I mainly want you to focus on your Photoshop file right now, but we got to think about some of these things right now. So let's look at let's see where we're floating that background. We might even be floating it in the container. Nope, I think it must be in the middle. Let's see here. Gotta find middle. There it is. Okay, in the middle, which is this big region right here, I am putting a background image, and I'll show you where that goes. Background. You can put a background image into basically any div tag. All right. In this case, I'm using it there. Let me just change that a minute and show you what it will do if I do that. I'm going to browse for a different background image. Let's see. I'll just pick something kind of crazy looking so that you'll see that it looks really different. Let's say I wanted to repeat that over and over again. And I apply it. Look what it does. So that's in the background of that div tag, that middle div tag. And because that's not repeating, because it's not meant to repeat, it looks really bad. That would be really a bad thing to have in the background. So we want to go back, browse, and find our full background. That's going to allow that thing to repeat and look natural. Okay. So I think that's all we'll do for right now. I want you to get inspired by looking at that CSS Zen Garden. I want you to try to create a design that doesn't look boxy, and I would like you to then slice it and start to put it together into a web page. And the first part of it is just doing a design brief with a static one big image background. You don't have to worry about slicing to begin with, but I do want you to think about how you're going to be doing that in the future. And then after we get that done, then we're going to slice it all up, and that'll be the next assignment, is to slice it, put it into an HTML document, and bring in all the imagery, make links, and then make content that goes in it. So it'll be a full website is what we're building toward right now. So as you think about this, come up with a topic that is going to interest you and that hopefully will interest somebody out there on the web, because you're going to upload it and it'll be live.